1, 2, is this on?
A wrestler's hometown is more often than not the place where they'll receive their best reaction.
Man, you should be here to see this. This is good.
The local crowd almost always welcomes back one of their own, but some wrestlers are so good at being heels, they can even elicit a negative reaction from their very own people. Then there are times when the fans are so tired of a babyface, they'll have no issue booing them, regardless if the wrestler is a hometown star or not. We'll look at examples of both today, as we highlight 10 wrestlers who were booed in their hometown. Number 1, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is such a versatile performer that he's just as good a heel as he is a babyface. This was proven not just by the incredible babyface reaction he received in his hometown of Montreal in 2023.
Demain soir, t'es chez moi, tabarnak!
But also by the fact he was able to get the fans to boo him in the same arena back in April 2019. On the night, Zayn was a guest on Alexa Bliss's talk show. Sami initially received a hero's welcome from the audience. He welcomed this response by dancing, speaking French, and then continuing to hype up the Montreal faithful with an Ole chant, the staple chant of Zayn's entire career.
Ole, 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 ole.
Sami then spoke about his love for the city of Montreal while expressing his disdain for the people, which was met by a chorus of boos.
The city is great, it's just the people that I can't stand.
Zayn doubled down by stating that appearing in front of the Montreal crowd was the low point of his week. This led to the crowd chanting for a different Montrealer, Kevin Owens. This only further annoyed Sami, who closed things out by saying that the fans in attendance were not his people and that they should all go to hell. A version of the na 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 hey hey goodbye song emanated throughout the Bell Center as Zayn walked off in disgust.
Yeah, see you in hell!
The way Sami turned the crowd was brilliant. Burying the audience can often come across as cheap heat, but Zayn pulled it off well by being so entertaining. Number 2, Kurt Angle. Zayn had to turn the crowd first before getting booed, but Kurt Angle rarely had this issue during his first year with the WWF. All the fans needed to hear was the Olympic gold medalist entrance music, and just like that, arenas up and down the country would typically boo on command. This was even the case in Angle's hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it happened numerous times in 1999 and 2000, including during Kurt's second WWF match, which took place on the November 15th, 1999 Raw. Angle had cemented himself as a heel the night before at the Survivor Series by getting on the mic and berating the crowd for reacting negatively during his match versus Shawn Stasiak. Kurt had been instructed to do so while the match was going on by the referee, who was relaying orders from Vince McMahon in Gorilla.
You do not boo Olympic gold medals. I'm the best in the world.
The next day, Angle didn't think he would be booed in his hometown of Pittsburgh, a place where Kurt was already a recognized name thanks to his exploits in the Olympic Games. However, Vince once again had a clever plan to ensure Angle received boos.
Vince wanted me to precondition the crowd before we started Raw. So he had me go out and cut a promo to turn on the fans a little bit.
Kurt was booed right from his entrance.
Your Olympic hero has come back to Pittsburgh. What? And listen to the boos.
With the Olympian receiving further jeers after rejecting his opponent, the Godfather's offer of swapping a gold medal for one of the hoes. Once the match got underway, Angle grabbed the microphone just like he had done the night prior at Survivor Series. Kurt once again chastised the crowd for booing him.
You cheer a pimp and his hoes over an Olympic gold medalist. What is wrong with you people?
But Kurt won the match thanks to an Angle slam. Number 3, King Booker. It's not always easy to ensure a heel gets booed in their hometown, but the WWE made certain that King Booker received boos during an episode of SmackDown in Houston, Texas on February 2nd, 2007. The plan to turn the crowd against Booker came in the form of an obnoxious Key to the City ceremony. After being awarded the Key to the City, Booker stated that no one from Houston had accomplished as much as him. Booker then made the ancient order of Royal Houstonians kiss his ring, which resulted in boos.
Kiss my ring. No.
From there, Booker tried but failed to get Houston's own Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top to kiss both the King's royal ring and feet.
Kissing you some.
After this, Kane interrupted by first attacking the custodians and then King Booker. The key to the city ceremony was just one of the many funny segments Booker T was involved in during his run as King Booker. Number 4, Edge. So far, we've looked at good forms of heat with heels receiving the desired reaction, but sometimes the shoe can be on the other foot, with babyfaces being booed instead of cheered. This is bad enough on its own, but when it's done in the babyface's hometown, it's a sign that the fans are tired of the wrestler in their current form. Edge experienced this at SummerSlam 2004 when he defended the Intercontinental Championship in his native Toronto, Canada during a triple threat match against Batista and Chris Jericho. The crowd booed Edge anytime he went on offense.
Jericho and Batista are on the outside. Uncoil here on Batista.
This was especially apparent whenever he and Chris Jericho were in the ring, as the Ontario crowd much preferred Y2J.
Toronto fans are cheering more loudly for Y2J. I think these fans are even more for Batista than they are Edge.
Edge retained his title after hitting Jericho with a spear. Edge will have been glad the match was over, given he just experienced one of the most negative reactions of his career up to that point.
I hadn't been in Toronto in 2 years, and they booed me. All right, I'm going to give you a reason. I am gonna give you a reason to hate me.
It wouldn't be long after until Edge turned heel, and it was after this that his work improved dramatically following a rough number of months as a face.
That's the man's wife! What the hell are you people thinking here?
Number 5, John Cena. By the time SummerSlam 2006 came around, Edge was now an established top heel, while his opponent John Cena was the babyface that fans were booing in his hometown. John had established himself as the face of the company, but that didn't stop him from being booed even in his home state. Cena hails from West Newbury, Massachusetts, a suburb of Boston where the pay-per-view was taking place. Instead of the Intercontinental title, Edge was this time defending the WWE Championship. The crowd were electric throughout the match, and the fans were definitely split at times. However, Cena was met with heavy boos on numerous occasions, as well as strong Cena sucks chants.
Cena, literally in his hometown.
The audience then turned their attention to Edge's girlfriend by chanting "Lita sucks." Lita would soon get involved in the match by handing Edge brass knuckles. She then stopped Edge from receiving an FU by taking one herself. This distracted the referee, allowing Edge to use the brass knucks on Cena, and it was this that ensured the Rated R superstar retained the WWE Championship.
My goal was always to get John cheered, and we thought maybe Boston would be an easy sell, and it turns out it wasn't.
The reaction Cena got during the match was a stark contrast to the response he received in the same building 8 months prior, as John was welcomed home with thunderous cheers from the Boston crowd. It just so happened that by the time SummerSlam came around, many fans had seen enough of Cena. Number 6, Brock Lesnar. Cena acts as the opponent in our next example, as John and Chris Benoit faced a team featuring Brock Lesnar in his hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Brock teamed with fellow heels Rhino and Matt Morgan on the Go Home SmackDown show of the 2004 Royal Rumble. The heels were accompanied by SmackDown general manager Paul Heyman, who watched on while sat on a lifeguard chair. The Big Show was also meant to be on the heel team, however, he was barricaded into his locker room by a parked forklift. The fans were in good form right from the jump, with loud chants of "You tapped out" directed at Lesnar. The crowd chanted this twice before the match even began. This was in reference to when Brock tapped to Chris Benoit at the Survivor Series 2 months prior.
As these fans in Lesnar's hometown begin the "You tapped out" chant. Better stop.
The crowd remained very lively, with further chants supporting Cena and bashing Heyman after both men were involved in an angle the previous week.
Take another bite, fatso! You ate soap! You ate soap! How disrespectful!
During the match, the fans were firmly behind Cena and Benoit, who were two of SmackDown's hottest babyfaces at the time. This meant there were boos for Brock, who also ended up taking some awesome German suplexes from Benoit. The Rabid Wolverine then locked Lesnar in the crippler crossface, much to the audience's delight. There were more boos for Lesnar as he walked out on the match, only to be attacked by his upcoming opponent at the Royal Rumble, Hardcore Holly. At this point, even Bob Holly was being cheered ahead of the hometown boy Lesnar. The finish of the match came when Cena pinned Rhino off an FU. Overall, this was a fun match with a hot crowd, good wrestling, and hilarious reactions from Paul Heyman. Number 7, Bubba Ray Dudley. When it comes to wild crowds, look no further than ECW.
Your mother taught me how!
We go to the land of extreme next for a match between television champion Taz and challenger Bubba Ray Dudley, taking place in Bubba's hometown of Queens, New York. Here we have an interesting example as Taz is positioned as the hometown hero, given he hails from the Red Hook section of Brooklyn. Bubba, on the other hand, has famously been billed from Dudleyville, even though he's actually from Queens. Nevertheless, Bubba immediately receives boos, while Taz is the clear fan favorite. Bubba embraces the heat by flipping off and swearing at the crowd multiple times.
Bubba Ray Dudley across the chest!
On the other hand, the human suplex machine feeds off the crowd's energy as they chant "Taz is gonna kill you" and choke him out.
block.
Taz duly obliges by locking Bubba in the Taz mission and forcing him to tap out, allowing the champion to retain the TV title. Number 8, Randy Orton. In 2009, Randy Orton was in the midst of an epic heel run in which he'd taken out the entire McMahon family, so it was going to be interesting to see how the crowd reacted to Orton on the August 17, 2009 edition of Raw. Raw's guest general manager for the night, Freddie Prinze Jr., opened the show and was about to talk about the main event until Orton interrupted. The Viper made it clear that he didn't want to wrestle ahead of his WWE title defense against John Cena at SummerSlam, which was in just 6 days. Freddie questioned why Orton wouldn't want to compete in his hometown. Randy replied saying that he doesn't care about wrestling in St. Louis and has nothing in common with the local fans in attendance.
I have nothing in common with any of you. This is about me.
The people responded with a "You suck" chant. Freddie demanded that Randy wrestle in the main event, where it would be Orton and his SummerSlam opponent Cena versus The Big Show and Chris Jericho. Following this announcement, Freddie tried to leave the ring only to be stopped by Orton, who dragged Freddie to the center of the ring and gave him a backbreaker. Later on in the main event, Cena pinned Jericho thanks to an attitude adjustment. However, before Orton and Cena were even announced as the winners, the Viper would strike by giving John an RKO. Number 9, CM Punk. CM Punk is well renowned for his popularity in his home city of Chicago, and while this is rare, it has happened a few times, including at the Night of Champions 2010 pay-per-view. Despite being a heel, Punk entered to a typical boisterous hometown response with chants of his name ringing through the Allstate Arena. Punk even reciprocated by declaring his love for Chicago, the caveat being that he hates the inhabitants. Punk went on to bury the crowd, who fired back with boos. Punk even went as far to say that Chicago should be set on fire for a second time.
You people make me sick.
Punk subsequently wrestled The Big Show in a short match that Show won with a knockout punch.
Big Show with a knockout.
CM Punk's promo ended up being far more entertaining than the actual match was.
The power of almighty straight edge.
Number 10, The Miz. Finally, we'll look at The Miz, a man who only ever gets cheered when he's in his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. But at TLC 2014, the spotlight was instead on Miz's tag partner as the A-lister teamed with his stunt double Damien Mizdow to defend the tag team titles against the Usos. This was during the period when Mizdow replicated everything The Miz did. Mizdow would get a better reaction every time compared to The Miz, who would get booed.
The universe is actually Sandow's better.
And this was no different in Miz's hometown, as Mizdow stole the show, despite spending almost the whole match on the apron mimicking Miz, who was wrestling. The crowd demanded the stunt double be tagged in by chanting, "We want Mizdow."
Mizdow's about to come in, Michael.
Here comes the tag.
The Miz refused to make the tag and received boos while Mizdow got cheered.
History in the making, and I'm not sure that it's good history.
Later, Mizdow entered the ring to once again copy his partner in hilarious fashion.
And there's the idiot Mizdow. Yeah, why don't you come and try to help Miz? This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen.
The match came to an end when The Miz got himself and Mizdow disqualified by using a SAMI award as a weapon. The DQ meant they retained the tag titles and they celebrated this fact, but as per usual, the fans only popped for Mizdow, as The Miz was overshadowed in his hometown by his stunt double. And that brings us to the end of this video. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you like this one, be sure to check out our similar video on 10 times WWE fans hijacked a match. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.